Hi, I'm Stephen Michael McDowell, aka Buttercup McGillicuddy. Matthew Sherling asked me some questions. These are the answers. Can you tell us about the writing projects you've published and are working on? Um, Everything that I've made thus far is available on my blog, which is noisandrewhatwho.blogspot.com. Um, it's also available on my Twitter, which is just at Stephen Unedited. So you can find it there. It's all on like the right sidebar, so for you guys, it's like right down the side. And everything that I've made that's online that's available to read or purchase is there. I wrote a couple screenplays. One of them is available there. It's called Fuck Plus, or The Ballad of Savvy Gibson in the 60s, and is basically a script about a bunch of kids after they graduate from high school. They decide to do a bunch of drugs and make a movie, and the main character, Savannah, becomes a famous filmmaker as a result. And it also talks about the life of her dad and how she became who she is and how she got into drugs and stuff. Another project that I worked on was Sonic the Hedgehog feature-length screenplay, but that didn't really pan out. I was just overly concerned about getting the rights for it, and from Sega Japan and Sega Sonic team in America, it didn't seem really feasible, so I kind of flaked on it. But I'm thinking about using that idea for something else maybe in the future. I have a novel that's titled Male Black. It's a chronicle of about maybe a year and a half in my life, fictionalized. A lot of the names are changed. It talks about how I met Tao and Megan and Zachary, and just sort of like how I got involved in literary things as opposed to continuing doing films, which was my original focus. I also have a novella called Trees. It came out in like August or something. That's available at trees with 3 E's -smm.tumblr.com to purchase. And then if you just want like a PDF of it, you could also buy it there, or just message me if you don't have money and I'll send you it. I'm currently working on another novel. It's titled Planet, and it's about another year and a half of my life where I was in like a relationship and some other stuff. But it's a science fiction. It's set in sort of a weird science fiction universe that's set like 1,000 years in the future. Matthew's next question was, what's your vision for Habitat? I feel like confused by the word vision, but I think it means like if you like imagine something and then set goals to try and accomplish that sort of abstract thing that you have an idea for. And for Habitat is like, well, it's pretty vague, but I have this idea for a huge collection or collective of artists that would exist internationally called Mammal. And Habitat was originally the literary division of Mammal. And what I want to do, or what I wanted to do if I had like enough money, is set up a bunch of habitats all over the United States and in different countries, and people could go there and like work using sort of like weird futuristic digital media to like construct things, whether it be writing projects or sculptures or films, and then but be able to do it live and internationally, and then make them there in the habitat, and then do like some sort of distribution based out of those places. And so Habitat the magazine is sort of like a conceptual iteration of that idea, where I solicit a bunch of people whose work I like, and I basically try to make a weird, mysterious, or like interactive environment where people can access their work. And I don't know, I feel really glad that so many people have contributed, because initially, like for issue 0, which is I think available on Habitat's website, it was just me. It was just me under different pseudonyms putting together a magazine. I don't know how many people have read it, but I've always kind of had the idea that if no one else participated, that I would just do it anyway. But I've been really fortunate in that, like, I solicited a bunch of my favorite writers, and a lot of them have contributed. And writers and filmmakers and musicians, and I think it's been going really well. It's a quarterly magazine. First issue came out in July, then October, and the next one's coming out in January. So I guess look forward to that. What inspired you to make Dead Midgets? How long did it take to complete it? Dead Midgets is a feature-length film that I made. I'm not sure what inspired me. I guess just like my life prior to making the movie, a lot of the events that happened in my life and in my novel Male Black, like, happen again in the movie. And in the original screenplay, it was a lot more well constructed and like not super experimental. It was more like a combination of actual things that happened to me, then a sort of weird Warholian myth about an artist who became super famous really fast, and then didn't know how to handle it and did a bunch of drugs. But then also there was like a Wes Anderson type element to it, where the story was kind of like the dialogue was weird, and but it was like depressing but also ultimately hopeful. And the movie, I think, has a lot of similar elements to what I initially envisioned or like thought of for the film, but ultimately it's kind of just a weird experimental sort of, I don't know, party movie or something. It took me about 2 years to make it. Almost 2 years, not really. I started working on the screenplay, I think, in March or April of 2010, and then the film was released in December 2011, like January 1st, 2012. So, yeah, it was really difficult because I wrote the script in March through June of 2010, and then all the actors who I wrote the parts for graduated from college and like moved to Baltimore, and so I moved with them to Baltimore to make the movie. But then they got jobs, and it was really difficult to organize people. No one came up to script readings, and so I just ended up, like, interest eventually waned, and I was just living in Baltimore for a while and didn't know what I was going to do. But then eventually things came together, and we kind of just threw the movie together over the course of 3 days, and then I spent about 4 months editing it while I was living in Nicaragua. Next question is, what is underrated? I guess in a literal sense, I Am Alt Lit recently gave Sarah Jean Alexander's book, I can't think of the name of it. Jeez, I have to find out now. I feel crappy. And they gave her a book like a something like a 46. But I really enjoy. It's called Goodbye Drinks, and I think that book was great. I think everything that Sarah makes is fantastic. I wouldn't change anything that she's done, so like that she does in her work. Um, so Sarah Jean Alexander is um, a person who I encourage people to read. Then there's Theo Themo, who I published an ebook by on Habitat. His stuff is all really interesting and affecting, and he's really young, so I feel like he has, but he's also like has a really dense knowledge of like bizarre avant-garde media, and so he put together a book called SF List W7.dat that is basically a relationship as chronicled by a computer or something like that, by like a Windows 95 computer. Um, and I published it because he sent it to me after asking if I'd be interested. And while I was reading it, I just started like crying profusely. So I was like, I really want to make this like available to the public. Um, so that piece specifically, and then he's got another book called I'm You Art Shit, which is just him doing a sort of Mira Gonzalez style expletive rant, and that's really good. Um, Lucy K. Shaw, she runs Shabby Dollhouse, but she also writes a whole bunch. I like a lot of her stories. She writes in a sort of minimalist sort of recounting events as she perceives them. I think a lot of, like, some people might call it navel gazing, but the observations that she makes and a lot of the things that happen in her life are just genuinely strange. And she also likes to remix famous poems, and so I like her stuff a lot. I recommend those three: Sarah, Theo, Lucy. I don't know that they're underrated per se, but just I think that I would like it if they got more exposure. What's your favorite IRL thing to do? No, hold on. Who is one of your favorite writers and why? Sorry. That's a really difficult question. A, because I don't know, like, I don't think I have a favorite anything. I guess the most recent thing that I read and really liked was Frank Hinton's Action Figure. It's a short novel. I found that really, really interesting, and by the end of it, I felt really affected. So I like Frank's writing, but I don't know. Favorite? I guess like the standard alt-lit answer would be Tao, but because he literally got me into writing like books as opposed to scripts, and really just enjoying the process or enjoying the experience of reading a book from beginning to end, which I didn't feel really excited about with any other writers who I've read. I guess I feel obligated to say Tao. What's your favorite IRL thing to do? Sex. I like sex a whole lot. What's your favorite website and why? I don't know. I guess I like Chris Dankland's Needle Mosquito alt-lit fireworks show on Tumblr. It's just got a lot of interesting content all the time. I can't, I don't know. I can't think of any websites that I visit frequently that aren't just like social media things. Like Gmail, it's great. Facebook, it's awful, but it exists and is functional. So, I don't know. I haven't been visiting a lot of websites. Wikipedia, but those are just like big things that most people already have or look at a lot. Um, what's your favorite meal and why? I just like pizza. Any type of pizza. I think Chris Stankland said that too for his interview. He likes pizza. I like pizza. There's no reason, like, I can't think of anything that is better than pizza or that I enjoy more than pizza. Tell us about your music making. Um, so my brother is a classical double bass player, and he's been doing that and playing like jazz bass since he was like 8 or something like that. But um, my dad, who's also a musician, never really gave much attention to my desire to do music. I think he taught me like 2 songs on piano, but that was it. And so I got really jealous when my brother really started getting deep into music, and I guess my dad just assumed that I was going to be a visual artist. Um, so I got a guitar when I like first met a girl who I really liked in high school, and like played it in the hallways all day or like before class, and would just like write songs. I never did covers of things. I just um, made up my own songs. And then eventually in high school, in college, I got my first like Apple PowerBook, and it had GarageBand on it. So I started making songs in there and started doing like experimenting with recording stuff. And when I came back home from school after dropping out, um, I made the girl who I was dating, like, I think we'd already broken up at the time, but it was Valentine's Day, and so I decided to make her like a feature length, not feature length, what do you call that? Like a LP, like one of those like a hour long album. And so that I titled Adventures in Pansyland, and just released it under the name Buttercup McGillicuddy. That's available on my Bandcamp page. And then since then, I made another full-length album for the soundtrack of Dead Midgets, and that's just called Energy Dusk, which is the name of the sound project also. Um, and then I made an EP after I moved back here to DC from Nicaragua, and that EP is called Liquor Aqua, or hashtag Liquor Aqua. Um, I don't know. I feel like in 2000, between 2006 and 2009, there was like a mini music renaissance, because a lot of different genres were invented, and the soundscapes just got really weird and like wholly digital. And I felt really fascinated by all the weird dance music and indie music and electronic music that was coming out. And so I feel just like I feel like I was inspired by all of it, the whole scope of it. And so I tried to mash up genres and make really weird sounds. At least I did, on Energy Dusk. I feel like Adventures in Pantyland was a little bit more of a just, I don't know, me not knowing what I was doing and trying to put together songs. Liquor Aqua, I think, is probably the most refined thing that I've put together so far. And then also, I'm making an EP called That Painting's Not So Blue with L.K. Shaw, Lucy Shaw. And that, I think, is probably going to, like, I just feel like I'm getting better at producing music, and I think that's going to be really good. So I guess look out for that. I don't know when it's coming out. Where is the internet taking us? I don't know. I'm constantly surprised by what things happen next. If you had to wrap your worldview in one sentence, what would it be? I don't know. I feel like I'd say something really hedonistic or like self-loathing. Like, Um, something like, I don't know. Yeah, that's probably it. I don't know. Okay, thank you for watching. Matthew, thank you for asking me questions. Bye.